Oh, Fatty Coin, the official meme community of Boogie2988, a place for fatties the world over. No G's allowed. It's a coin. It's a token you can buy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Boogie2988 videos for me are kind of like a shooting star. Every time it passes, you make a little wish. Something funny always happens. But in this situation, I don't think it's entirely super duper top meme-tacular funny. I think it's actually downright scary that influencers do it. Now, usually when influencers are on the way out, you have two choices, Western man. You can either learn to leave gracefully from the internet and, probably start like an enterprise or a company and move on there, right? Like maybe move on and leave the YouTube world for some newer blood to pop in. Or you can launch a coin, okay? Either or. Now, obviously, throughout my time on YouTube, I've covered numerous coin scams with various other influencers, CoffeeZilla being primarily the top one. And I remember he was calling me, literally yesterday about this situation, okay? And we were kind of laughing at it together because it really was an entire story that dropped as I was on the plane, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that's not, catching on, this is fattyuniversity.com, okay? And again, it starts off with one big-ass embed of this, Boogie2988 video called Fatty, all right? So we're going to watch it real quick and get an idea of what this is about. Now, obviously, the video is unlisted. All right, I wonder why it's unlisted. I wonder why somebody's not proud of Fatty being on there. It looked like it did pretty well, 40K views in 2 days. That's actually pretty impressive.
Listen up, all you top G's. There's some misinformation being spread around right now by certain influencers. But I'm here to tell you the truth and the hacks to help you break free from the matrix so you can be a brokey like me.
It's so funny. People watched this guy 10 years ago and they were like, what a wholesome chungus, Mr. Rogers of the internet. And now he's doing this Andrew Cake bit, you know what I mean? Get it because he's a fat guy, so Andrew Cake versus Andrew Tate, haha, funny. On a surface level, I'll tell you right now, this is probably the funniest thing that I've ever probably seen Boogie do. But here's the thing, if you're going to be funny, haha, ironic funny, you probably also shouldn't be launching a coin alongside this whole entire venture, right? If you're going to make a joke, make a joke. But don't actually, the whole entire joke here, for anybody that doesn't know, is Andrew Tate, a while back, he starts tweeting about things like cryptocurrency and whatnot. And obviously, cryptocurrency is wild, right? When any influencer talks about it. But you can criticize, you can make a parody video. The reality is, if you're also participating in launching another coin, right, which could ultimately harm your audience, then is it really a parody? Is it really a joke? Or are you actually unironically taking advantage of your fan base? That's something that, is a question we have to ask ourselves.
You may know there's certain myths that are being pushed on you to keep you in the rat race and enslaved to certain disciplines. But I'm here to dispel those myths for you. Number one, everyone thinks you have to have a perfect body.
Yeah, I said it was funny, but it's kind of like watching an ISIS video or something. It's just, there's no fun to it, actually. It's, a lot of the jokes don't really hit as hard as you think they would. It's probably the best written thing that Boogie's done in a while. But I mean, it's still a car crash, right? Shit. Now, of course, Boogie runs this token, right? Which is Fatty token. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you a price chart for Fatty right here. This is Fatty on the Solana blockchain. Now, obviously, it does really well, when it launches. And all of these meme, coins, it basically craters, effectively over 90%, right? Of its value. So it starts off over here. It goes, woo, falls right to the ground, okay? Boom, done. It's all over with. Now, obviously, maybe at some point it might come back. That's the expectation, right? Maybe down the road, okay, this might fly back up. Now, Boogie does this podcast called Lolcow Live, and on this podcast, he actually brought one of the actual developers on and started talking about how this it's remember back in the day when Amazon crashed to nothing? And all these stocks crashed to nothing, but they all came back. It's long-term thinking.
There's no safe,
but you can't a dump.
There's no safeguarding the pump and dump. I mean,
yeah.
Bitcoin. I mean, this is the space. I mean, if you look at Amazon stock in the 90s, it lost 98% of its value. And altcats.com, most of them did, and then a few of them, the Amazons, the eBays, they held through when most of it most of the other companies were just quitting.
So you're
And
saying
that's what
this
this space
this
is.
is an Amazon-like project, and you're going to be multi-billionaires
No.
like Jeff Bezos is in 10
No,
years?
I'm talking about the longevity of the project and
Yeah.
Boogie's content online. Like
Yeah.
Boogie's gonna do content until he dies, and this token can hang out with him and provide value.
Now, I think it's fucking insanity, okay, to imagine that your Fatty University token is on the same level as one of the largest logistics tech companies in the world, right? Yeah, you know, Amazon once cratered. Yeah, Amazon also does a whole lot more than talk about Fatty University lifestyles, all right? But hey, what do I know? Now, obviously what Boogie does isn't entirely new. We've covered like actual influencers in the crypto space in like the last, I want to say, few years, right? Like obviously me and CoffeeZilla talked about, you know, that Save the Kids token stuff. And of course, down the road, you know, we started looking at things like the casinos. I remember when like this was happening literally like a couple days ago, like yesterday, we were actually on call, like laughing about the situation. It was actually mind blowing. He had actually launched a video on a second channel, Voidzilla, if you haven't checked it out, where he actually confronts Boogie on the situation because Boogie reaches out to Steven to discuss, hey, is this crypto project okay? Now, Boogie's been around the space. Boogie's talked about cryptocurrency before. In fact, if you actually look into Boogie's history, he had an entire video where he was like, I'm at my rock bottom, right? Like he was actually begging on his YouTube channel, right? Like, because at that point, money was gone.
Setting out back on this beautiful fall day. Is it fall officially? I think it is. But in my backyard with my puppies. And I want to have a conversation with you. Well, this is a video I've dreaded making. But it's time. So I'm asking for your help as we head into the holiday season. Not happy about it, but here we are. And I'm not making any excuses here. You know I spent a tremendous amount of money on dumb things. But the biggest issue is that I had a nice big nest egg. I took some financial advice from a friend, and I'm not pointing fingers necessarily. I took the advice, but I put my money in the crypto market in the wrong section, and I pretty much lost most of everything.
He had basically talked about being crypto rich, and of course, because he never capitalized on his, you know, gains or like his unrealized gains, he basically lost money, I guess, at the end of the day, right? It was like a situation where, bro, you're in a very speculative market, okay? At one point, you kind of flex to your fan base, and then you lose all your money and you're basically begging for it. So you know the sting of losing money on cryptocurrency, yet you're pushing it onto the audience. Now, obviously, he's not the only influencer to do this. And honestly, if Boogie's bit was just talking about being Andrew Cake, even though it's like 2 years after Andrew Tate's been relevant enough, it's funny. But obviously, you know, when you add the whole coin factor to it, like, come on, doc. You're part of the problem at that point. Jesus Christ. Now, other influencers like Jason Derulo, for instance, right? Like, if you look at Jason Derulo's actual YouTube channel right here, you can see that literally he is, you know, talking about Dollar Jason, like an actual Jason token. What is the utility of the Jason token? About as much utility as the shit I took an hour ago, okay? That's pretty much the utility right there. So, you know, people have looked obviously into this one influencer, right? So obviously when you go to like Jason Derulo's Twitter feed, he's got like his pinned, you know, like comment over here. He's got, happy to announce we've officially partnered with Vortex Global for our market making Dollar Jason to the moon. Now, obviously, there have been some severe allegations of, you know, mismanagement, right? Like, influencer launches cryptocurrency token, craters to the ground, and then what do they talk about? Here he says, damn, Sahil got me. Now, if you don't remember Sahil Arora, you might remember a while back we were talking about, like, you know, Caitlyn Jenner and her stupid, like token. Yeah, apparently this one Indian, like, guy is behind all these crazy scammers for these celebrities. It's insane. That's okay. That's fine. That's motivation to take this all the way. I just bought 20K worth. In this for my fans for the long haul. Going to do everything in my power to send this shit to the moon. Yeah, I love how it's like, trust me, boys, I'm doing this for the fans. Why do you even bring them into this in the first place? Like, people know how dangerous speculative coin investments are, yet they still present the audience, okay? This is more of a situation as like, look, I want you to think of this whole ecosystem like there's a pool of sharks, right? Like an actual pool of sharks. Like, imagine in that fucking pool right there, okay, right there, there was like a whole bunch of crypto sharks And like your audience is effectively blood. You're throwing the audience into the water for these guys to basically ravage them for pennies. They give you a little bit of an advertising, like Boone, like they'll give you like a few $1,000s. Your audience basically is rented out, pimped out effectively to them, right? And then all that happens is, these sharks get into the water, your audience puts money in, that money is then leached out, from liquidity, down like the course of a couple weeks, if even that. It's really fast. And boom, your audience has basically been part of losing their money. A bunch of these people have paid you thousands of dollars, which all they have to do is break even. And then after that, everything they make off of your audience is pure profit. It is a tale as old as the last few years with crypto. So one of the organizations in this group, a chain analysis firm known as Bubble Maps, actually looked into it. Jason Derulo has sold Jason, allegedly. During his claims, we doubt he got fooled by Sahil. Let's look at the on-chain evidence. Let's look at it. Remember, everything about the cryptocurrency is, what is that saying? Men lie, women lie. That blockchain don't fucking lie, that's for sure. Jason Derulo said on a space that Sahil contacted him to promote a gambling website. He admitted failing to conduct proper due diligence, leading to unknowingly sharing a token contract where he actually, posts this, "Let me take you dancing at Pump.Fun." Remember that name, audience? And then he lists the whole token contract right there. Wow, shit. Before Jason Derulo's first tweet, they had spotted huge clusters in their bubble map. So the 1% holder had 11%, red cluster was 18%, and of course the yellow cluster here being 20%. So what they said was all of those addresses follow the same pattern, which is basically refunded from CEX 3 days ago, and they were bought on Pump.Fun. So the wallets, right, in this situation that were alleged to be associated with the Sahil individual held 50% of that supply and dumped almost everything right after the first tweet that Jason Derulo had put out. So according to them, the total realized profit here is $180,000 US. Insane amounts of cash. So again, Jason Derulo in a Twitter space was saying he was tricked by that Sahil character, right? Oh my God. Wow, I got tricked. Oh shit. Now, here's the thing about being tricked, okay? I would have a little more sympathy for the influencer if they had a bit more skin in the game. But if you're being paid money, right? If you're being paid an influencer fee, already you're doing well. You got paid to advertise something. Your audience, they jumped on something because they believed in you. They're not getting paid a bag. Now, to whittle it on back to the old, Boogie stuff, if we look at the actual chart here, you can see that Boogie launched the Fatty token with the team or whatever. Alongside it, thing goes skyrocketing, craters to the ground, okay? 90% losses. So, the moment you expose this to your audience, there's a group of individuals who obviously have had this token or know about this token. The money gets in, the sharks jump in, your audience jumps in. Your audience are the losers. The sharks take the money and effectively run off with it and make their cash. And that's pretty much how things tend to go. So it's worth looking into Pump.Fun, which is actually the website and protocol that is being used to help facilitate a lot of these brand new meme coins on the Solana blockchain. Now, this might remind some people watching of a 4chan layout with the bump orders and generally how things are laid out. Now, I'm obviously censoring what's showing up because I have no idea if this is necessarily safe for work. But see, every second, by that yellow little ping, that is a new coin that is effectively being launched. Now, the way that this works is, according to Pump.Fun, you pick a coin that you like, you buy the coin on the bonding curve, you then sell at any time to lock in your profits or losses, and when enough people buy on the curve, it reaches a market cap of $69,000, which at that point, $12,000 of liquidity is then deposited in radium and then burned. So apparently there are some protections that I guess this offers, but generally these are meme coins, meaning that, they literally are not designed to have, any form of utility. Don't be thinking of this like Ethereum. This is literally designed for, people who want to 10,000x some weird investment. So obviously the moment these things go live, they price spike, and especially when you get an influencer involved, then you'll start to notice things die as soon as the influencers start to make their initial postings. And the reasoning for a lot of this is when people look into it, there is an understanding generally by people who investigate this that there are individuals who have early knowledge of when these influencers are going to, start dropping their stuff, when their fans will start getting in. So before then, they'll either have tokens sent to them or they might buy them for an exorbitantly cheap cost. And as soon as the influencers jump in and start, promoting this product, and their fans start, intermingling with these sharks in this pool, then those sharks basically leech out whatever money that they can, and it's really the fans who are holding the bag. When you have volume, when you have actual market volume like this, there is absolutely somebody losing money. And oftentimes it's not the crypto investor behind any of this. It takes minutes to create an account wallet, just a wallet in general for crypto, and then purchasing through various exchanges is not the most difficult thing in the world, no matter how much Boogie likes to, claim it is.
Now, to give you guys an idea of the kind of scumbags you're playing with, obviously on a website like this, there's people that operate with like literal bots, right? Like nobody is manually trading if they want to actually like make money. Usually you've got people that are known as snipers that have bots that effectively purchase and like sell these coins on a day-to-day basis. So when your audience jumps into these sharks, right? These sharks are playing with literal fucking GitHub tools, while the audience is playing with their MacBooks, like, just moving their fingers around really slowly, purchasing shit. Dog, you are screwed the moment you jump into this wild pond. So Boogie2988, Steven here, is going through some serious medical problems. For anybody that doesn't know what Steven's going through, he's actually got some form of blood cancer, okay? Now, this is a pretty rare form of blood cancer known as polycythemia vera. Now, according to my Cleveland clinic, all right, they said PV is a blood disorder that causes your body to produce too many red blood cells. Too many red blood cells can make your blood thick and sluggish. Now, it says right here that it progresses very slowly and often isn't diagnosed until the age of 60. Most people manage symptoms well for many years. The biggest risk from too many red blood cells is blood clots. So yeah, it might be, a form of blood cancer, and I'm not going to sit here and like deny a man's like medical history. I don't know. I don't go to their doctor appointments. But I'm going to ask a question, okay? If you are going through medical problems, is it okay to necessarily jump down the throat and like possibly just scam your audience? I think the answer is still a fat no to it, and there's really no sympathy from it. Now, I called Boogie out on this, and Boogie, like all, of his life, basically victimizing himself for no real reason, effectively said, I don't care if he lives or dies. Now, look, I'm just going to say it. I hope everyone the best, okay? I'm just indifferent when it comes to this individual, especially when he's been promoting these tokens onto his audience.
But actually giving back the 5K you're going to be making back to the community, locking it, making sure that people aren't going to get hurt further?
No, I'm going to pay my medical bills next month with that last half, and I'm sorry to anybody that's disappointed with that. I have an $1,100 medication plus a $300 medication. I get a bunch of I'm going to buy medicine with it, man. And if people are disappointed with that, I fully understand that. It's a shitty thing to do, and I'm a shitty person for doing it. You can have that opinion, and I'm okay with it.
So obviously it's hard to feel bad for somebody, even with their medical concerns, that the only time they ever really remember that they have this rare form of blood cancer is when they're pressed up against a wall about the actual crappy actions that they've done. Yeah, I don't really feel so bad. Imagine if you are scamming somebody that is also going through a serious medical concern. And your fans might think, okay, maybe this might go to the moon. Obviously, I think there's even a weird double issue with believing Boogie about finances. But point is, imagine if somebody put their money in, lost it, they're also going through medical issues, and this guy doesn't care. He's just paying his own medical bills, and he'll do whatever it can to do it. He could have streamed. He could have earned money on Super Chats. He could have gotten a sponsor or two. Even if they weren't the most highest paying, I think actually doing real work would have been more respectful to your fan base than just basically exposing them to a bunch of sharks. And for how much did he actually go into it? How much, did he gain really? He'll tell you exactly how much he earned, how much he was cut a check for.
I was given $5,000 up front with a promise of $5,000 on the back end after a week of coming on the Telegram, doing some live streams, doing some tweets about it, and all along the ways talking about how it's a shit coin that'll make you go broke.
You know why they tell you to do it for a week, right? That's how much time they need to get out of the coin. They're going to slowly drain the coin as people buy in. They're going to use whatever's worth of your name to dump on your fans. You know that.
Well, if you're telling me that, I believe you.
So obviously through the course of the next 24 hours in this entire story, he basically says, we just burned 50 million fatty tokens. If you're holding, going broke just got harder. At fatty2988.
Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Good. See, that's somebody that gets the fatty lifestyle. Do nothing and you'll be nothing. And that's the way you want to be. I see that a lot of you bought my coin because you want to be a broke, fat fuck like me. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you your first challenge. If you're holding my coin, your coin's value just went up. I had my team burn 50 million tokens. That way you have to work even harder to be a broke, fat like me. A lot of people.
So I don't understand that, okay? So at the first glance, he's like, bro, I'm just making a meme token. You're not supposed to buy, you're gonna lose money. Next day, I also did something that's going to give you guys more value. Wait, hold on a minute. Like, I don't understand. Are you being ironic or are you actually trying to make people money here? Like, what the fuck? Now, I don't know if this necessarily passes what is known as the Howe Test. So the reason why we're looking into the Howe Test here real quick is obviously for a lot of these influencers that get caught promoting this kind of stuff, there is a scary aspect of it possibly being them promoting a security. Now, obviously, Boogie, in his entire coverage, even in the Fatty University, did one actual carnal mistake. He never really outright said that he was being paid to promote something. Now, if you know anything about YouTubers when they promote a product, they'll let you know when you're promoting a product, okay? Like, this video was sponsored by, fucking so-and-so, if it was sponsored. If Boogie got paid $5,000 to talk about Fatty Token, he should have told you that he got paid up front to talk about Fatty Token. It shouldn't have been something that was discussed to like other YouTubers or kept under wraps until eventually it got leaked out. That is actually deceptive. So when talking about that video we just saw, something about the Howe Test that I wanted to bring into this situation was obviously looking at the 4 key factors. Now, I'm not an SEC compliance officer, nor do I work in the United States Department of Justice, okay? I'm a fat Indian guy sitting by a pool talking about this Boogie situation, all right? There's a key difference in professionality there. But here it talks about money being invested, okay? So there must be a monetary investment involved in the transaction. So clearly your audience is buying into a token, whether it be for a meme, whether it be they're buying it to see it speculate. Look, at the end of the day, the meme token culture, like we saw with Pump.Fun, is built around people effectively putting money into an entire coin to see it grow. That is effectively an investment. That either it's whatever you call it, gambling investment or anything of that nature, there is an understanding that you're putting money in to these services. Then you've got an expectation of profits. And obviously, if your expectation is this money is going to go up, what he said over here is a little confusing because if your whole idea is you're going to be a brokey, but also I did something to raise you money, like that is a conflicting statement. That it might lead to somebody thinking that there is a way that they can profit, because if the team behind the coin is doing shit to help you make money, that's something you have to really factor into your head. And obviously there is a common enterprise, but more importantly, success relies on the efforts of others, right? So the success of the investment depends predominantly on the efforts of individuals rather than the investor. So again, if what had happened over here was the individuals here, Boogie and his team, are doing something that could inadvertently turn this potentially into a security. Because even if they call it a utility token, the fact that they're basically selling this as like Patreon, but for a meme token, is such bullshit copium that literally talking about that is a whole fucking separate video series in of itself, okay? It's like copium to the moon. That's like copium Star Trek, the next dimension type shit. Now, obviously, since, this whole situation and the crash of this token within literally a day or two, there have been a fair amount of individuals who have accused this of possibly being a rug pull. And a rug pull is a situation where, like I described, when it comes to this platform, what basically occurs is, a whole bunch of individuals know that this token is coming, right? They throw their money in. They're ready to purchase this token. Boogie makes a tweet announcing this to the fan base. There's a massive drop-off after that announcement. The fans get in, the investors, they get out, and this whole story begins anew. Influencers who are basically on their way out are effectively pimping out their audiences for the last few, pennies that they can effectively scrounge out of the audience. And I think it's really insulting, right? Like, look, at the end of the day, let's just call it like what it is. Everyone falls off. I fall off, you fall off. It happens. Nobody is the Simpsons on the internet. Nobody really lasts forever. So, when we're on our peaks, it's great. When we're on our way out, we should be leaving gracefully, okay? And the thing is, Boogie has had so much of an ample life, like basically having the ability to live comfortably, buy video games, participate in hooker pleasures all over. We've seen the documentaries, okay? It's wild shit. So when you live life like that, you got to have money set aside to maybe start another venture. Boogie obviously didn't. And like the influencers in his situation, he has now resorted to basically selling out his audience for the tiniest fraction of cash at this point. And, it really shows a severe lack of respect for the audience you've basically built over like 15 years. In the end of the day, influencers and the relationship you build with your audience, it's parasocial no matter what. But part of that relationship should be built on some semblance of trust, okay? You shouldn't be sitting over here trying to butt fuck your audience for like $7,000, $8,000 after tax, okay? Especially when that money, like Boogie said, it's going towards medical bills. Look, I get it, all right? Medical bills suck. A lot of your bills could be alleviated if you simply decided to walk every once in a while, okay? Boogie claims that he has a lot of free time, and if you have a lot of free time, there is so many better ways that you can spend by actually getting a sponsor or making more consistent YouTube content, not making one video every fortnight for crying out loud, okay? You could consistently stream more. You should never get into a situation where you think, these shady guys are giving me thousands upon thousands of dollars. You should really ask yourself why they're doing that, okay? Because it's not for them making some bullshit community. This is literally a situation where you've exposed your audience to, again, blood-infested waters. And what are they doing? They're part of the situation, they lose money, and ultimately it's on you, the influencer, that exposes them in the first place. And obviously I think there's a bit of responsibility. If you were a fucking jackass that bought the fatty token thinking you were gonna get rich, well, you might need to be medically assessed because goddamn, you are a fucking functioning idiot. But ultimately, it is still the influencer that exposed you. And that is one of those things where Boogie is, in my opinion, quite guilty of. And no matter what he says, I think it's just very much a new low that he's not the only one guilty for. It clearly is a whole bunch of other late stage exit out of the way influencers. But yeah, anyways, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, clearly the National Geographic channel out there is having a fucking field day at 2 a.m. So I'm gonna go to bed. All right, you guys have a good one. And Boogie, please stop exposing your audience to these stupid tokens. You know it's dog shit. I know it's dog shit. Unborn fetuses know it's dog shit. Everyone knows it's dog shit. And finally, they shut the fuck up when the video's over. That is such a crazy goddamn. Done.